Hey farmers and agriculture enthusiasts! Crop rotation isn't just traditional wisdom. It's scientifically proven to boost yields while cutting costs. Simply put, planting different crops in sequence prevents soil depletion and breaks pest cycles naturally. We've divided this guide into 4 simple, easy-to-follow parts. First, we'll explore why crop rotation is the absolute best practice for sustainable farming, backed by both science and economics. Second, we'll dive into a real case study from Iowa, where the Johnson family transformed their 200-acre corn operation through strategic rotation. Third, we'll examine Green Valley Organics in California, showing how rotation works brilliantly for smaller vegetable farms. Finally, in Part 4, we'll provide a practical roadmap for implementing your own rotation system, regardless of your farm size or current practices. Now, let's get into why farming in cycles rather than straight lines might be the smartest agricultural decision you'll ever make. Part 1. Why crop rotation is a superior agricultural practice. Take a good look at these 2 fields. On the left, a farm using crop rotation for the past 5 years. On the right, the same crop grows year after year. The difference isn't just visible from above. It extends deep into the soil and directly impacts the farmer's bottom line. Crop rotation isn't new. Ancient Mesopotamian farmers practiced it over 4,000 years ago. Romans documented detailed rotation systems, and indigenous cultures worldwide developed complex planting cycles. What's fascinating is how modern science has validated what farmers intuited for millennia. Let's break down why rotation works so well. Starting underground, different crops interact with soil differently. Legumes like soybeans and clover actually add nitrogen to the soil through special root nodules. Follow them with nitrogen-hungry corn, and you've created a natural fertilizer system. Test results don't lie. This soil from a rotated field contains 32% more available nutrients and twice the beneficial microorganisms compared to continuous monocropping. These microbes break down organic matter, making nutrients available to your crops without expensive fertilizer inputs. Now let's talk pests and diseases. Many crop-specific pests have predictable life cycles. The corn rootworm lays eggs in cornfields, expecting corn to return next season. Plant soybeans instead, and those larvae starve before they can damage anything. Root structure is another massive benefit. Shallow-rooted crops followed by deep-rooted crops create natural tillage, breaking up compaction without diesel-burning equipment. These channels improve water infiltration and drought resistance, which we're seeing become increasingly important with climate variability. A diverse rotation supports biodiversity above and below ground. Predatory insects that control pests need habitat year-round. Different flowering times from various crops support pollinators. This isn't just environmentally sound. It's creating a resilient system that requires fewer interventions. Let's talk money, because that's what keeps farms in business. Data from the Sustainable Agriculture Research Center shows farms using 3 crop rotations spend approximately 26% less on fertilizer and 33% less on pesticides compared to continuous monocropping. But the real economic power is in stability. This graph shows yield data over a decade. Notice how the rotation system maintains consistent yields despite weather fluctuations, while the monocrop system shows dramatic drops during stress years. That consistency is what builds wealth over time. Farmer says, "I sleep better knowing I've got 3 different crops in the ground. If weather or markets hit one crop hard, I've got 2 others to fall back on." That diversification has saved our farm more than once. There's also growing opportunity in premium markets. Consumers increasingly want sustainably grown products, and certifications often require rotation practices. Some farmers are receiving carbon credits for improved soil practices, creating entirely new revenue streams. Crop rotation isn't just an old farming tradition. It's a sophisticated system that builds soil health, disrupts pest cycles, improves resilience, and strengthens farm finances. It's farming with nature rather than against it. Now that we understand why rotation works, let's see it in action. Our first case study takes us to Iowa, where one family transformed their conventional corn operation through strategic rotation. Part 2. Case Study 1. Midwest corn, soybean, small grain rotation. Welcome to Riverside, Iowa, home of the Johnson family farm. 200 acres of rich Midwestern soil that's been in the family for 3 generations. Mark Johnson says, 5 years ago, we were just like every other farm around here, corn on corn, year after year. Yields were slowly declining, and our input costs kept climbing. Something had to change. The Johnson story is increasingly common across America's heartland. After decades of continuous corn production, Mark and his daughter Sarah decided to break the cycle, implementing a 3-year rotation that revolutionized their operation. Their rotation follows a simple but effective pattern. Year 1. Corn with a winter rye cover crop planted after harvest. Year 2. Soybeans, which benefit from the nitrogen-fixing power of their root nodules. Year 3. Small grains, primarily wheat, underseeded with red clover that builds soil health while providing additional forage or green manure. Sarah Johnson says, people thought we were crazy to grow wheat in Iowa when corn prices were strong. But we weren't just thinking about 1 year. We were rebuilding our soil for the next 50 years. The numbers tell the story. After just 3 full rotation cycles, the Johnsons have reduced synthetic fertilizer use by 30% farm-wide. Their soil tests show organic matter increasing from 2.7% to 4.1%. Dramatically improving water retention and nutrient availability. Pesticide applications have plummeted by 40%. Breaking pest cycles through rotation has virtually eliminated corn rootworm problems that once required multiple treatments annually. The bottom line? A 15% increase in average profitability per acre, despite transitioning some acreage away from traditionally high-value corn. This profit comes from both reduced input costs and surprisingly strong yields. The rotation proved its worth during the 2021 drought that devastated many Midwestern farms. While neighboring continuous cornfields suffered yield losses of up to 60%, the Johnson's corn, benefiting from improved soil structure and water infiltration, saw losses of just 22%. Mark Johnson says, that drought year paid for our entire transition. The soil just held water differently. You could dig down and still find moisture when other farms were bone dry 6 inches down. But the journey wasn't without challenges. The first rotation cycle saw a temporary yield dip as soil biology adjusted to the new system. Sarah Johnson says, that first year was scary. Our corn yields dropped about 7%. We had to keep reminding ourselves this was a long-term investment. Equipment presented another hurdle. The Johnsons had to modify their planter for smaller wheat seeds and invested in a used combine header specifically for small grains. Mark Johnson says, we found great deals on used equipment from retiring farmers. We didn't need the latest and greatest, just reliable machinery that could handle different crops. Perhaps the biggest challenge was finding markets for their wheat in corn country. The Johnsons got creative. Sarah Johnson says, we connected with a specialty flour mill 2 counties over that pays a premium for locally grown wheat. We're actually getting better prices than the commodity market by emphasizing our sustainable practices. The Johnson farm represents a growing movement across the Midwest. Farmers returning to balanced rotations that build soil, reduce inputs, and create more resilient operations. Their 200 acres now serve as a demonstration site where neighboring farmers can see the benefits firsthand. Mark Johnson says, we're farming better today than we were 5 years ago. The land is healthier, our costs are lower, and we're more protected from both market and weather extremes. I wish we'd started this 20 years ago. While the Johnsons show how rotation works in grain production, our next case study takes us to California, where a small vegetable operation is proving rotation principles apply equally well to specialty crops. Part 3. Case Study 2. Vegetable Farm Rotation System. Nestled in California's Central Coast region, Green Valley Organics presents a different approach to crop rotation. At just 50 acres, This intensive vegetable operation demonstrates how rotation principles can be adapted for high-value specialty crops. Elena says, "When we started this farm 12 years ago, we knew monocropping vegetables would be a disaster. Most vegetable crops are heavy feeders with specific pest pressures. Rotation isn't optional for us. It's essential." Green Valley's rotation system is more complex than our grain farm example. They've developed a sophisticated design based first on plant family groupings. Elena says, "We never plant crops from the same family in succession. Tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants are all nightshades with similar disease vulnerabilities. Following tomatoes with peppers would multiply our problems." Their core strategy uses a 4-field rotation system. Field 1 grows fruiting crops like tomatoes and squash. Field 2 transitions to leafy greens. Field 3 produces root crops. And Field 4 is planted entirely with cover crops and green manures to rebuild soil fertility. What makes Green Valley unique is how they've integrated habitat for beneficial insects directly into their rotation planning. Permanent hedgerows surround the farm, while flowering insectary strips move through the rotation, always positioned strategically near crops with high pest pressure. Implementation requires meticulous planning and record-keeping. Green Valley uses farm management software to track every bed's history, ensuring they maintain rotation integrity while meeting market demands. Elena says, "This system lets us see the complete history of each bed. What was planted, when it was harvested, what amendments were added. We can quickly check if we're about to break our rotation rules." Unlike commodity crops, vegetables must be harvested at precise market timing. Green Valley plans backwards from key market dates, ensuring production continuity while respecting rotation principles. Elena says, "We can't just tell our CSA members, 'Sorry, no tomatoes this year because of our rotation.' We plant multiple successions across different fields to maintain consistent supply while following our rotation rules." Irrigation presents another challenge. Different crops have different water needs, requiring a flexible system. Elena says, "We've zoned our irrigation system to match our rotation plan. Each field has adjustable drip and overhead options, so we can maintain optimal moisture regardless of what's planted." The results speak for themselves. Soil tests show organic matter has more than doubled, from 2.1% when they started to 4.8% today. This translates to improved water retention, nutrient availability, and disease suppression. Regular insect surveys tell another success story. Beneficial predator populations have increased by over 200% since implementing their integrated habitat approach. Ladybugs, lacewings, and parasitic wasps now provide natural pest control. Disease pressure has plummeted. Before rotation, nearly 40% of their tomato crop showed signs of early blight. Today, that number hovers around 7%, achieved without fungicide applications. The market has responded enthusiastically. Green Valley commands a 15% price premium for their organic produce, and their CSA program has maintained a 94% renewal rate, well above industry averages. Elena says, "The quality difference is obvious. Our produce not only looks better, it tastes better. The nutrient density in properly rotated crops grown in healthy soil creates flavors you simply can't get from depleted ground." Green Valley now serves as an educational site, hosting interns and workshops to share their rotation expertise with other specialty crop growers. Elena says, "What we've created isn't just sustainable, it's regenerative. Each year our soil gets better, our ecosystem gets more balanced, and our operation becomes more profitable." That's the power of thoughtful rotation in vegetable systems. Now that we've seen crop rotation succeed in both large-scale grain production and intensive vegetable farming, let's explore how you can implement these principles on your own operation. Part 4. Implementing your own crop rotation plan. Whether you're managing thousands of acres or a small market garden, implementing crop rotation follows the same fundamental principles. Let's break down how to create and execute your own rotation plan, starting today. Step 1 is establishing your baseline. Begin with comprehensive soil testing. Not just NPK levels, but organic matter, micronutrient profiles, and biological activity. Take samples from multiple field locations and depths. These results become your benchmark for measuring improvement. While awaiting test results, pull your pest management records. Which issues recur year after year? Which fields consistently underperform? This detective work reveals problems that rotation can solve. Next, honestly assess your equipment and infrastructure limitations. Rotation often requires handling different crops with different harvest times and storage needs. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good here. You can start rotation with existing equipment and adapt as you expand. Step 2 is setting clear, measurable goals. Are you primarily focused on building soil organic matter, reducing herbicide-resistant weeds, creating natural nitrogen sources, diversifying income streams? Prioritize your top 3 objectives, as these will shape your rotation design. Equally important is identifying marketable crops appropriate for your climate, soil type, and regional demand. Contact local buyers before planting that first cover crop. Markets matter. Now for the fun part, designing your rotation. If you're new to this, start simple. A basic corn-soybean small grain rotation with cover crops is a proven Midwestern approach. Vegetable growers might begin with a simple nightshade cucurbit legume green sequence. Remember, a good rotation alternates between high and low nutrient demand crops, deep and shallow rooting patterns, and creates breaks in pest cycles. Digital tools can simplify complex rotation planning. Software like Ag Squared, Farmos, and Granular offer rotation planning modules. Even a simple spreadsheet tracking field histories can prevent costly mistakes. The ideal system lets you visualize your rotation across multiple years and fields, ensuring you maintain your plan while adapting to weather and market realities. Implementation works best as a phased approach. Rather than converting your entire operation at once, start with 20 to 30% of your acreage. This reduces risk while you learn. Year 1 might simply add cover crops after harvest. Year 2 introduces a new cash crop. By year 3, you'll have experience and confidence to expand further. Record keeping becomes essential. Document planting dates, inputs, weather events, yields, and observations for each field. These records reveal patterns over time that help refine your system. Photos taken from the same GPS coordinates each season provide visual proof of soil and crop health improvements. Speaking of improvement, establish key metrics to track success. Beyond yield, monitor input cost per acre, soil organic matter percentage, infiltration rates, earthworm counts, and disease incidence. Small improvements compound over time, so celebrate incremental wins. Build adjustment protocols into your plan. If a cover crop establishes poorly, have a backup strategy. If weather prevents optimal timing, know your second best option. Rotation systems must be flexible to succeed in the real world of farming. You don't have to figure everything out alone. Extension services in every state offer free rotation planning assistance. Organizations like Practical Farmers of America and the Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education Program connect you with experienced rotation farmers. Books like Crop Rotation on Organic Farms and Managing Cover Crops Profitably provide detailed guidance for specific situations. For deeper learning, online courses from land-grant universities and organizations like the Rodale Institute offer comprehensive rotation training. Many include virtual mentorship from experienced farmers who can review your specific plans. Remember, crop rotation isn't a one-size-fits-all prescription. It's a set of principles you'll adapt to your unique circumstances. Start where you are, with what you have. Document your journey, connect with other farmers, and most importantly, observe your land closely as it responds to your care. With each rotation cycle, your soil health, crop resilience, and farming satisfaction will grow together. The future of agriculture isn't about choosing between productivity and sustainability. It's about designing systems where they reinforce each other. Crop rotation has stood the test of time because it works economically, environmentally, and practically. Your rotation journey starts with a single decision to plant something different next season. Your soil, your balance sheet, and future generations will thank you. Thanks for watching this guide to crop rotation. If you found this valuable, please hit like and subscribe to Smart Farming Inside for our complete crop rotation series. In our next video, we will come with some new topics for our crops. Until then, remember, healthy soil grows healthy profits.